Shyam is the founder and chief ideator of iThought, which is a leading financial advisory firm based out of Chennai. Other than that, he's also a regular columnist in many newspapers, including Live Mint and also in Tamil. I've known Shyam for more than 10 years now, and he's always been very insightful. And what especially I like is his ability to express complex ideas in simple words that reach everyone. I think those who like today's talk can also check out his channel, where he discusses various investment ideas, personal finance matters, etc., both in Tamil and in English on YouTube. That is always something that is without any further delay. Shyam, it's over to you.
It's a pleasure to talk to all of you on this evening. Power of financial independence for women. Being independent is now a reality in the lives of most of us, irrespective of gender. Strangely, even the most independent people do not understand the importance of being financially independent. Interdependence is probably a very Indian thing, and it also comes in the way of financial independence. When you are not having your own identifiable financial independence, then you are not really fully independent. This is something which we need to recognize now, and it can't wait. This is not something which the powers that be or government don't recognize. Everybody recognizes that. The reason behind a saving scheme of the central government, which is called Sukanya Samriddhi, is this: they want to create financial independence and identity at a very, very early age for women. Before the age of 10, they would like to create savings and financial identity for all women. So the first thing that we should understand is that you need to start very early. Even the government is telling us to start early. Importantly, most of us don't even have our own savings when you start working. Most women tend to add their entire income into a family pool. While supporting a family is your duty, it still should not come in the way of having independent financial identity. When the government says that from the time a girl child is born, you need to have money in her name, it's strange that adults don't understand the importance of having independent finances for themselves. Even after you fulfill your familial duties, either to your parents or to your spouse or to the extended family, it still should not stop you from pursuing your own financial independence. And the first step is to have your own financial identity. You need to have your own account, no joint accounts, and you need to have your own investments. And these things should not mix with the investments or savings or the finances of other members of your family, whether it is parents or siblings or spouse or even children. Having an independent identity and having your own investments and your own monies is the second step in your journey towards financial independence. The next one, which most people don't have, is your own financial plan. You should know what you want with the money that you are going to set aside for yourself. Setting aside money for yourself, investing it for yourself are all things which you should do, And most importantly, you should do all this with some clear goals in mind. If you do that, then the power of what you can accomplish for yourself will be significantly better. So it's important to not only have your own account, your own monies, your own savings, your own investments, but you also have your own plan. Saving separately for yourself is sometimes mistaken by people as something too selfish. It's not the case. It gives a greater purpose to what you do in life. If you're working in a place, then when you save some of that remuneration that you receive independently for yourself, it's a good way to keep score of what you have accomplished out of your work and out of your savings. Saving must also be clearly driven towards goals. When you have goals, then you tend to save better and you tend to invest better. You will also be very, very aware of where you are in relation to where you want to be. The goals help you with that awareness. So having specific goals to work towards is the next step. So be very goal driven. Most women accomplish a lot. They earn as much as men. In fact, I've seen many families in which the women earn more than the men. It's almost a stereotype nowadays. But what strikes me as a very urgent necessity is women should understand capital allocation better. What do I mean by that? If you are going to earn 100 rupees, where should that money go? Let's say you're going to use 60 rupees to run your life. The 40 rupees that you're going to save must get allocated towards different goals or different needs. Sometimes we find that the lack of understanding of capital allocation makes women parties to misallocation decisions. Mostly the men make these wrong decisions, but the woman is also a silent party to this. I'll give you an example. When a family is not financially ready to buy a car, the man decides to buy a car. When a family is not financially ready to buy a house, the man decides to buy a house. What happens when you make such capital allocation decisions when you're not ready for them is that a disproportionate part of your savings get allocated to it, leaving very little money left to do other things which could be bigger priorities. For example, people who spend too much on a car or buy a car earlier than they should tend to save less for their children's education. People who buy a house before they are not financially ready tend to be very poorly prepared for emergencies in their life. They are not able to support their parents when they need them. They are not even able to give their children the kind of education they would otherwise aspire to. So, understanding capital allocation and understanding how your money should go towards your own capital allocation and your family's capital allocation is very, very important. So I think that for a woman to be financially independent, a good understanding of capital allocation is very, very important. Now that I spoke of capital allocation, the next important thing which you should be very cognizant of is asset allocation. Let us say you have 100 rupees of your own savings. You also have 500 rupees of your family savings, which comes from the family pool. You should know where the family savings should go, how much of money should go for what, and you should also know what your own savings should go towards. You should not mix the two. Capital allocation at a personal level and asset allocation at a personal level will make you achieve not only your own goals, but also the goals of your family, and participate in them in a balanced way. So understand asset allocation. Know how much you can spend on a vehicle, how much you can allocate towards a house, how much you can spend for a family vacation, how much you need to spend for any health emergency, how much you need to allocate to take care of your parents, because in a family both have parents, so you need to have allocations towards both if both of you are earning members. So have a very clear asset allocation, have a very clear capital allocation, understand how your capital allocation will help you improve your asset. The next important thing is you need to learn how you can measure, because many people are very, very anxious to make high returns. So they keep on measuring their returns every day when they invest their savings, especially if you are the kind who is investing in mutual funds or in stocks. So learning how to measure is very, very important. So measurement should be done not every day and every hour or every week, but you should have it at a reasonable frequency. When you measure, you must have realistic expectations. I'm seeing people who think it's very easy to earn money in the stock market, and they have very high yardsticks. So knowing what should be a reasonable expectation, setting a yardstick to that expectation will make your measurement sensible. So measure sensibly and know how to measure at what frequency and what should be a good achievement. So your measurement should not make you think that you're an underachiever, and it should not make you set goals which you cannot achieve. So you should be realistic in measurement. What I have seen most people also fail at is in understanding the importance of time in the journey towards financial independence. You're not just saving and investing your money to achieve financial independence. You are investing time. So you need to give as much of time as your investments need and not try to rush yourself and your investments towards measurement. Usually, I think that a reasonable period of time to give to measure and to achieve is 5 years. While you measure every 6 months or every quarter, you have to give yourself at least 5 years to achieve a reasonable success in your investments. It's important to also maintain discipline during this period, because investing time would mean waiting. Unless you're disciplined during that period, you will do a lot of things which affect your achieving financial independence. For example, somebody who has been saving for a particular goal tends to divert that money for something else, thinking they will always replace that money with some other source. Ironically, they never find that source and they remain underfunded against the goal which they originally saved for. When you do things which you have not financially planned for, then you tend to stay in a agitated state and you tend to move away from your intended goals, and money is always becoming a problem. When money becomes a problem, independence is simply not there. If I see why people continue to work even after they don't want to work, it's because they did not deal with their savings and their investments and their time with those investments sensibly and diverted the money and the investment for other purposes. Typically, when we have a shortfall towards one goal, we move money from another goal. This is not to be done. When there is a shortfall, you move the goal little farther, make yourself financially ready, and only then actively pursue fulfilling that goal. If you don't have the money, the simple prescription is wait till you have the money. So That is another very, very important thing with respect to investing adequate time. One aspect which leads people to getting very confused is they mix their duties towards family, friends, and society with their duties towards their own financial independence. I don't mean to say that these are in conflict. They never need to be in conflict. But you need to clearly identify that your duty to yourself comes before your duty to everything else. First, do whatever minimally you need to do for yourself and for your financial independence, then provide for all the other duties which you believe you are obligated to. So that would help you strike a balance between what you do for yourself and the duties that you fulfill for those who you care for or you are responsible for. So mixing duties with other things, with yourself and your obligation to yourself, tends to create what I call as mixing the monies. The money which is intended for one purpose gets mixed with another, and then eventually you have a kind of a situation where nothing is clear and you have not done what you originally wanted to do. Clarity of thought is important. Clarity of action is even more important. The don'ts, which you know clearly, must always be remembered and practiced. You should not exempt yourself from things which you clearly know you are meant to avoid. So in that sense, maintaining financial independence is the first and the primary requisite towards reaching financial freedom. So if you're not independent, you're never free. So you need to keep on working. Your money is always needed by the family or by extended circle, and you really don't have enough for yourself. So that gives you the feeling that, oh, I worked so hard for such a long time, and yet I don't have enough for myself. That's a very sad state for anyone to be in. And I see that whenever people fail to keep their financial identity separate, they land in that situation. So you should always have a separate financial identity for yourself. Identify what money from your income is meant for yourself and never compromise on what you want to do with that money. The rest is always available for you to fulfill your duties, to be a contributing member of your family, and always ensure that whatever needs are there, they are fulfilled. Don't allow these needs to grow randomly. Don't allow ad hoc decisions to be made, and don't become parties to decisions which eventually hamper your personal financial freedom. So if you don't do those things, then you are in a good place and you are able to always be your own person financially. So these are some of the things that I think are essential for a woman to achieve financial independence. I see even in families where the woman earns more than the man makes the financial decisions, which eventually weaken the family's financial strength and make the woman completely lose her financial independence. And I think that this has a lot to do with not having your own financial identity, your own savings, and also becoming a party to decisions for which neither your family's finances nor your own finances are ready. So don't allow yourself to be party to decisions which you cannot effectively support, or which you will have to support at the expense of your financial independence. The journey to financial independence is something which should be the topmost priority, or the most important right or a personal duty to oneself, which you can't give up for anything else. If you have that kind of an approach, you will never be led into decisions which will make you lose your financial independence. Eventually, even people who are capable of being financially independent end up not being financially independent because they become parties to decisions and take responsibility because they were party to decisions which are more emotional than rational. So these are some of the points which you should remember, and you should always follow and practice your investments, your savings, and your personal financial management in a way in which you have your own money, you have your own investments, you have your own financial growth, and your personal growth can be identified through your journey to financial independence. This does not mean that you don't contribute enough to the family. You set your boundaries, stick within that, and ensure that you are good at both. The balance is something which can easily be struck, but you should have the discipline to say no to certain decisions which will make you lose your financial independence and your freedom. This is something which you need to definitely know. There is another point which women must be more conversant. That is the understanding of what kind of investing will give them a better and a safer journey towards financial independence. I have seen that while women do have portfolios in their own names, these investment portfolios tend to be run by others to their own risk appetite. For example, a father will be speculating with his daughter's money. A brother will be doing some trading with his sister's money. A husband will be doing something with his wife's money. This is strictly avoidable. The investments you choose should always be aligned to your personality, to what you want out of your investments, to your risk appetite and your goals. They cannot be aligned to the goals of other people in your family. Only if your alignment is correct and if the goals are being invested towards consistently in the right places, you will achieve financial independence over a reasonable time frame. So these are some of the points which you need to remember when you are investing. It also means that you should have basic awareness about investments. You should have an advisor who will guide you, who will hold your hand and walk you along this path. Trust is a very, very important thing, and you need to have that trust with your advisors. If you do a financial plan, your planner can guide you forward and stay with you on the journey towards financial independence. Lastly, please understand that financial independence is a journey. It starts much earlier than you are having enough money. It starts as soon as you finish your studies. You should have your own account. When you earn money, you should have your own investments, you should have your own savings, and you should invest in a way which grows your money, and your advisor should tell you how to manage your investments and what to expect. The expectations should be set realistically, and you should journey along patiently to reach your goals. In times like what we have seen in recent months or in 2020, your patience will be tested. Investments may lose value, but you should be disciplined and try to add some monies so that you invest more money when the situation is in your favor, when the investment is trading at a cheaper valuation, or you're able to buy more of the same investments. So these are some of the simple things that you need to understand, and you need to have a good support system. It's also important that you have a peer group which understands these aspects, which supports you. I think women are capable of supporting each other much better. So you should have a peer group which will help you to understand what you need to do for financial independence, how you should do it, what are the do's and don'ts, and how you should remain steadfast in your journey towards financial independence. The don'ts is something which the peer group can always keep you aware of and ensure that you don't move away from that path where you are moving towards financial independence. So these are some of the points which I think are very, very important. Financial independence is very, very important for every woman. every woman deserves financial independence, and every woman is very much capable of achieving it on their own. If you can earn so much money, if you can have your own careers, if you can contribute so much to organizations, when you can do so much for society, I think you owe a little more to yourself. On that note, I would open the forum for questions. I think there are ample opportunities in mutual funds, in ETFs for women. You can invest every month through an SIP. You can have your own advisor to give you some good choices. You should know what is your risk appetite. You must take a risk profiling test, which will tell you what kind of person you are. And then you should align your investments to the risk profile and risk appetite, which is yours. Financial literacy, there's plenty of financial literacy around. You have Varsity, which is there on a Zerodha platform. Almost all the online platforms have a lot of content for financial literacy. If you just type financial literacy, you'll get so much of stuff. There are a lot of blogs, there are a lot of writers, there are a lot of FinTwits who are talking about financial literacy. So financial literacy is something you can find in social media, and you can choose credible sources, see the feedback they have been receiving, and stick to a few people. There are, my good friend Monica Hallan has written a book also on financial literacy, which I think you can buy. It's very much affordable. All of you can read that book. So there are enough people who have given a lot of content for you on financial literacy. You can read, you can ask your friends. Some of your friends may have already read about it. You should have a small circle, probably a WhatsApp group, where you only discuss financial literacy and investments. And it should not be a forum where people give tips. They should only guide and create education. If you maintain discipline and you have one or two resource people in those groups, you can learn from each other. And you can also handhold each other in difficult moments when the markets are down or when your investments are down for brief periods. You're able to give each other confidence and support. So a group approach is something very, very essential. You can have a peer circle which will help and support each other under all circumstances.
I think the name of the book is Let's Talk About Money.
Yeah, Let's Talk About Money.
Yeah, it's an excellent excellent read if you want to get started about how to do this thing. And it's never too late. It's never too late to start. Best time probably was 10 years ago. The second best time is now.
I'm going to answer a question about housewives and financial freedom for housewives. It's not that housewives don't have their own savings and they don't have their own money. So if you have a household budget and you are also able to save some money out of your household budget, you can invest that as your own financial identity. So that is something which every housewife can do. And every month from your own budget, family budget or household budget, you should take out a particular sum of money as you are saving and save it in your name. It can be a fixed amount. It could be 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever be the number, according to your family's income. You should have your own saving in your name from your house budget. So in that budget, you can create, through your house budget, you can create an allocation for yourself. And being a homemaker should not stop you from pursuing financial independence, because you are also contributing to the house and you're working so much to run the household. So you can always make a small budget for yourself independently, and you can save from that. That's a very good question. Is there a recommended percentage that should be saved from an income? Let's say a salary is 100 rupees. I think the minimum saving should be 25. You save 25 rupees and then leave the 75 to run your family, to do all your other duties. But 25 rupees should be saved. If you earn 100, at least 25. People who earn more money, let's say somebody earns 40,000, 50,000, they should be able to save a higher percentage, maybe up to 40% or even higher. So if your salary is lower, you should save 25%. If your salary is higher, you should be able to save more. That is my basic advice to you. So have a clear percentage every month, put that money away and then run your life. Don't say that I will save whatever money is left. You will spend whatever money is left after saving. That's how you should do it. See, SIP is basically averaging. So if you put money every month, let's say you put 2,500 every month it will buy units in that mutual fund scheme at whatever is the NAV. So if you're doing it every month and the market comes down, you end up buying those units even during the times when the market is lower. So eventually when the market goes higher, you make more profits. You would have bought when the valuations are lower and you will end up making more profits. So SIP is a very disciplined way of investing. You can invest every month from your savings, and you can allocate a part of your income towards a monthly SIP. And you can also try and save some more money if you can from the rest of the money. And that money can be kept separately so that you can invest it when the markets see a lot of downside. When they fall a lot, you can buy a little bit more. So keep some powder dry for a rainy day. So SIP is something which is very effective for those who don't know when to invest, because money will just get invested every month. And that will ensure that you participate regularly, you save a fixed sum every month, and you build an investment corpus through sheer discipline. Your risk assessment can be done through any risk management tool. All websites have risk profiling. So if you just type risk profiling, you will get websites in which you can answer the questionnaire and it will tell you what is your risk profile. And you can decide how much you want to save by, your income. You fix 25% or even higher according to your other requirements, because each one will have different responsibilities to fulfill. Keep a minimum of 25%. Allocate it to SIPs in large cap equity funds and some multi-cap equity funds. So just to choose 2 or 3 equity funds. You can also do an SIP in gold through ETFs. You can do an SIP in debt funds also, though now interest rates are low. When the interest rates improve, ensure that you also have an SIP for debt funds and allocate this money. You can put, let's say, some 1,500 for equity mutual funds. You can put 500 for debt. You can put 500 for gold, and every month this money should keep going in. And gradually, you would have built a good corpus by investing on a monthly basis without fail. It is advisable. Gold gives you 8 to 9% return over the long term. Though in interim periods of few years, it may not make any returns. In periods when it doesn't make returns, you can still invest more money so that you can profit when it makes returns. For example, in the last 1 month, gold has given 10% returns. So it didn't give any returns for the last 1 year. So if you had invested entirely during the last 1 year, in 1 month, you will get the returns. So likewise, gold will have long periods when it doesn't give returns, and it will give returns in a very short period of time. So it makes sense to invest some part of your savings into gold all the time.
Perhaps, I don't know if I can add here. Gold also, I mean, not as, I think there are many different vehicles also. So there is the SGB, there are ETFs and this thing. Which do you feel currently is the thing? Or you can...
See, SGB, sovereign gold bond is what is SGB. SGB is a fantastic instrument if you have 5,000 rupees minimum, because you don't have to buy physical gold, you get a bond. And for a gold investment, government gives you 2.5% per annum interest. So, and this is for 8 years. So over 8 years, you get 2.5% into 8, 20% you get as interest. So effectively, even if gold price goes down up to 20%, you don't make a loss because you get that money back in the form of interest. So SGB is good for somebody who can invest 5,000 rupees minimum. Government periodically comes up with new issues, or you can even buy an SGB in the secondary market on a stock exchange like NSE or BSE. But let's say you don't have that kind of money. Let's say you want to invest 500 or 1,000. Even for somebody who wants to invest 500 or 1,000, gold ETFs are a very good choice. So there you are actually exposed to price risk. Nobody gives you interest on your value, but you can still invest smaller sums of money effectively. when gold price drops, suppose you're seeing in the morning that gold price has fallen at 10:30, you can invest before 1 o'clock and you'll get at that day's price 500 rupees worth of gold. So you can actually buy 500,000 rupees worth of gold through ETFs or gold funds through mutual funds. That's a very, very good approach for a small ticket investing.
See, for someone who's starting out, Shyam, would you recommend indexing, or it's better to just focus on?
See, I think it's a choice. I would suggest a mix of indexing and some multi-cap or flexi-cap funds, because you should have both. Because the economy is growing, you should not be exposed only to one part of the market. You should be exposed to a slightly broader part of the equity market. So you should not get narrowed down too much. So it makes sense to have a mix of indexing and some actively managed funds.
For those, indexing is essentially where you buy only the Nifty ETF or something. So it has exposure only to the 50 stocks in the Nifty or the Sensex, and then it tracks them. So there is no, the fund manager doesn't make any objective input. They just blindly track.
Correct. A good fund manager will get you better returns than an index over the long term. That is for sure.
I'd like to thank Shyam for taking time out once again and addressing us. Those who want to see more, Shyam has a channel called I Thought in YouTube. I think he posts regularly on all major financial happenings and also personal finance tips. I think there is Mudli Kalam. It's a channel where Shyam sort of covers the same topic in Tamil. If that's what you want, I think you can check both out. And definitely, like Shyam recommended, I also recommend Monica Hallan's book. I think it's a great place to start if to start your journey. Thanks once again for joining us, and all the best, I guess.
Thank you, Ashwin. My pleasure.
Thank you, Shyam.